Hey there and welcome to this AFK Journey video. So one of the most commonly asked questions on the channel is with regards to being Cecia-less, right? So I actually have a free-to-play series where I complete my PvE challenges, as you guys can see, complete AFK challenges, complete the open world all the way up to the last chapter, and I don't rely on Cecia. And in fact, I actually have multiple accounts out there, and there's a few tries where I actually finish the whole thing without using Cecia at all. So Cecia is definitely not a must. I personally think that Cecia is a very strong early game unit, but she doesn't really translate very well into the late game. And in today's video, I'm going to share the team that I used to finish up the whole PvE progression, right? The 1 month of developing this team, and then explaining the different caveats of the team, right? Why this team could potentially be the better team for the free-to-play players, and why this team is probably gonna be very long-lasting compared to whatever you have invested. Okay, so let's start with the team. I think this team is pretty much, I'll say, like the meta team idea that people are recommending. Like, people are basically using Coco, Smokey, Torrent, and maybe like 2 other units, right? Maybe Brutus, Rowan together with Cecia. Brutus or Rowan, either that, then maybe they have Antandra slot inside it. So I'm gonna just talk about the different caveats for this team, right? Why the team is shaped like this and why this team is actually potentially better for free-to-play players. And then I want to showcase some AFK challenge run with the team, and then explain how you want to operate this team on manual. So for those of you guys who have been following my free-to-play series, my Zeeebo $0 series, this is basically the team that I ran from the start to the end ever since I let go of Cecia. Right, she's just been sitting here for the past, I'll say, 2 weeks. I don't actually use her much. I think there's a few stages where you need AoE CC, and then you probably want to slot her in for those challenges. If not, I haven't been using her a lot in terms of the different contents itself, right? Even for my arena teams, I don't actually run her because her tier is actually way too low for her to be of any use right now. And I just think that, you know, there are other ways to win other than just rely on her, so I'm not using her. So for this team setup, right, I'm going to explain why the units are there, why these units are good, and why this team is potentially better compared to you running Cecia as your main carry, okay? So Torrent, I don't think I need too much, need to describe too much. One of the best tank in the game. Triple life if you have the EX weapon, and I'm super lucky to get him to Supreme Plus, so he is very, very tanky. He's also one of the reasons why I was able to push through contents really fast as well, because if you have a good frontliner that is able to store enough time, right, to let your backline do what they need to do, right, it is most of the time a win, right? In Cecia's case, if you're running Cecia as a carry, basically when Cecia's ultimate comes out on the field, you basically win. So that's why Torrent is one of the best. If you don't have Torrent, another unit you can run is obviously Brutus. So what Brutus offers for the team is 5 seconds of inbound, and on top of that, because I'm running a 4 Mauler team, if I run Brutus in the place of Torrent, right, I'll get a 5 Mauler buff, which gives my team more stats, which gives my team more attack, more HP, so indirectly making the whole team tankier as well. So that's one modification that you guys can do. In fact, even if you don't run Torrent, right, any other tank that's available in the game, right, Lucius, Danny, if you do decide to use them, it's still going to be a decent choice, because the other 4 units, they have good factional synergies already, and they pretty much cover a little bit of everything. I'll explain why later on. So for the tank compartment, I run Torrent, but any other tank is fine. Brutus is okay as well. Granny is also okay, and I think Granny is slightly better in terms of the control compartment, because one thing that this team lacks is the control, where Cecia offers. So Cecia offers CC, offers damage, and offers an additional body, whereas for this team itself, right, I don't have additional body, and I don't have that much of crowd control. Although Antandra is I'll say like a decent crowd control with her ultimate on, but her role in the team is not a crowd control unit, okay? So that is for the tank. Any tank works, right? You can use any tank because the other 4 units already have their factional synergies. So the carry of choice for me is Odie. So this unit, in my honest opinion, is the strongest unit in the game. Strongest not because this unit deals the most damage, strongest not because of his insta-killing ability, but rather this unit just being generally very versatile from the early to late game. And this unit is a unit that will last for very long, because as long as you find a way to abuse insta-killing, you basically can run him. And in some of the later stages in terms of content pushing, you actually have to rely on his insta-killing to actually clear the game mode, because you need the burst to build up quickly and you want to burst people down. The speed where he does it is insane, because let me run through the skill of this carry in case you guys haven't seen my T0 OD carry. Right now, I only have this unit at EX9, unfortunately. But if you unlock the EX10 ability, this unit has a 600 initial energy. And if you combine it with the fact that this unit wants to sort of immediately and quickly kill off the enemy with the insta-kill mechanic, and then gain energy from there and continue the cycling, this 600 initial energy is actually pretty insane. So if you are in a less competitive server where you can get more temporal essence, if you are able to spend a little bit of money to get more temporal essence to get this unit's EX weapon to EX 10 plus 10 over here, as you guys can see right now I'm at plus 9, so I need about 21 more because this account's I'll say like temporal essence income is terrible. But if you do get it to plus 10, right, this unit gets elevated into another level. So for Odie's case, the main power spike in Odie comes in 3 different phases. I'm an Odie main player. I've been using Odie a lot and I love this unit a lot. Like, this unit has just been carrying me in all the different accounts, all the different game modes in the later stages of the game, right? So there's actually 3 different power spikes for Odie. So the first power spike is actually the Venom Surge level 2 skill, where you're able to expand the range of his normal attack and his ultimate to 7 tiles, effectively making this unit a full map ranger. So this makes this unit's positioning a lot easier, and that means that you have a lot of flexibility in terms of where you place him, because you can use his ultimate anywhere on the map most of the time. And like, you can keep him safe, you can put him offensively in front. There's a lot of variety you can do in terms of the positioning. So that's for Odie's case. The other power spike is obviously the insta killing. So once you unlock the mythic plus of this unit, you get the Heart Crusher level 0 skill, which triggers insta kill when your enemy reach a certain threshold. So this is the first spike of the unit, because being able to just insta-kill and build more damage from there, right, insta-killing other units even faster, makes this unit like insanely powerful in terms of content pushing. And I'll say that the last major power spike is actually in the EX weapon level 10, because this allows you to gain 600 initial energy. This means that you can do whatever you want to do with Odie even faster, right? His role is very simple. Shoot the ultimate, try to bring the enemy down as fast as possible, trigger the insta kill, cycle the ultimate, do the same thing over again. So this EX10 level 3 boost is just a massive boost to this unit's overall power level, overall kit, making it the 3rd power spike, and I'll say the biggest power spike in general, because it allows him to do what he wants to do fastest, which is to start insta killing ASAP. So these are the 3 major power spikes of Odie. So I'll say like the strength of using Odie compared to using Cecia is that Odie is, I'll say, more versatile in terms of game modes in the late game, and Odie doesn't really fall off in terms of usage, because you can use him for Dream Realm for your bossing contents, you can use this unit for Battle Drill, Labyrinth, you can use this unit for Arena from time to time, and even for high level PvE contents, this unit will carry you very well as well. So in general, I just prefer Odie compared to Cecia for that very reason. However, obviously comparing these 2 units, there's a few level of weaknesses for Odie compared to Cecia. So one thing about Odie is the recent changes to how his tiers are upgraded. You just need a lot of shards in order to even unlock his Mythic Plus. I think in the past it was a lot faster, because in the past you just rely on Acons, so reaching Mythic Plus was a lot easier. But with, I'll say, like the recent changes, which I kind of mispredicted, you kind of need a lot of shards for him to push him to Mythic Plus ASAP. So that will be like, I think, one of the biggest hurdle for most people, especially free-to-play players. If you're super lucky with his gacha, right, you're not going to get him to Mythic fast enough, and then your progression might be a lot slower compared to Cecia. Because for Cecia's case, Cecia is just a unit where if you do get the ultimate off, right, she's just basically gonna do what she needs to do. And obviously the higher tier she is, the better she becomes, and she's gonna do more damage. But then again, for Cecia's case, you can get her shards from the arena shop. So let's say if your gacha luck is really terrible, you don't actually get bricked very hard, because this unit is strong even without the EX weapon, and this unit can push through contents even without reaching the power spike. So for Cecia's case, the power spike is lower, but Cecia is a lot stronger in terms of stability, in terms of free-to-playness, right, depending on your gacha luck. Because being an A-level character, if your gacha luck is terrible, there's really no way for you to get him to Mythic Plus fast enough. Like, that was what happened to me. As you guys can see, right, my Torrent is actually Supreme Plus, whereas my Odie is only Supreme. So this is because my Torrent luck is just way better than Odie, and every single A-level characters I get was not Odie, so my overall progression in terms of Odie to Mythic Plus was a lot slower. If I had him at Mythic Plus higher, unlocking the insta-killing mechanism faster, I might have already finished the story. I might have already finished all the AFK challenges. So just one trade-off, right? His power spike comes later, and he comes online a little slower compared to Cecia. So if you don't like, if you don't really like that kind of, I'll say like slow startup, right? The kind of 0 to hero kind of feeling, then investing in him definitely is not a good choice, because yeah, you need to actually reach there for you to see the effect. But if you do get there and you see the effect, you'll be like, wow, this unit is good. So that's for Odie carry case, okay? So the other two units in terms of the supports, I don't think I need to explain too much. So Smokey and Coco, they are basically the best duo in terms of PvE contents right now. There's actually another duo which is decently good, and that is Heroin and Rowan. But Heavy and Rowan is a little bit troublesome in terms of team building. So this pairing is not very friendly for free-to-play players. But I mean, for newbies, right? I actually tried it with my other account and it was actually really strong. And this pairing actually transits better into late game stuff, right? In terms of Rowan and Heavy, because these two units are stronger in the late game compared to Smokey in certain game modes. So they both have good and bad. But I'll say most people will be using the Smokey Coco combo, because Smokey is just one of the best unit for Dream Realm, so you need to use him, and then Coco just combines really well with Smokey, right? And Coco's ultimate, if you do get it off, is pretty bonkers in keeping your team alive. So the standard way of pushing contents in the early to mid game is to just survive for as long as possible, and I hope that your carry can do what they need to do. So in the Cecia combo is, if you take away Odie, you use Cecia, then you buy enough time for Cecia's ultimate to come up, and then you just let her keep on summoning the ultimate and then do what she wants to do from there. But for Odie's case is, you just want to buy enough time for him to start killing people, insta killing. Once the insta kill stack starts to build up, you're basically winning the match from there. So that's the idea of this team, okay? Then the last unit is Antandra. So Antandra is just a freebie that was given to us, right, from the quest itself. So it's quite easy to get her to Epic Plus. And the reason why most people run her, I don't know whether or not people actually explain it, is actually her shield formation ability. So this shield formation, I think I mentioned multiple times, is one of the best skill as a side support kind of thing, because you don't actually need high stats on her for this skill to be effective, because this skill actually generates shield based on the allies' max HP. So even if your Antandra is at only epic tier, the shield is still gonna generate a lot of shield if your main tank, which is Torrent in my case, is very tanky. And in this case, on top of just having a decently good supportive skill in the second skill, if Antandra does get her ultimate off, she will buy additional time for your backline to do what they want to do. And on top of that, because I'm running a 4 Mauler combo, I have a 4-1 team synergy, which is quite a massive amount of stats in the late game, right? And that translates to better survivability as well as offensive power, which I mentioned multiple times, okay? So this is basically my team setup. I explained the team building rationale. There's actually other ways to build up a free-to-play account for content pushing, and I'm going to showcase it in the future new accounts that I built up, because I like to try out different things whenever I start a new account. And I'm going to show you guys that there's more than one way to just play the game compared to just using the standard Mauler course, okay? So this is the team showcase, the team explanation. So usually, if let's say you are a Cecia fan, you already built up Cecia, this will usually be how your team looks like. And some people will be like, yeah, Odie is actually quite good, so they actually also build up Odie at the same time, and then this is how the team for most people will look like. So the main power spike in this team is actually the core 3 in front, because if you don't have these 3 units, right, the other 2 units doesn't matter. Because if these 3 units survive, like if your tank plus your 2 supports, right, do what they do and buy enough time for what your backline want to do, right, you basically win the match. It's not just about this unit, although this unit is quite strong, right? If now you use another unit, for example, if you probably try to use like Iron, for example, right, you get lousier synergy, but you still get things done, right, based on the combo, because Iron can still group everybody together, do damage, and then immobilize them. So in terms of this team building synergy, I think this team, or rather this structure, like this 1 tank and then 2 Mauler support and then maybe Antandra, is the most standard way you build a team in terms of general progression. So whatever carry you use or whatever main unit you use will decide your initial pacing, and then will decide your eventual pacing of how you push through the contents itself. So why I say this team is actually, I'll say, better for free-to-play players is because in a late game, right, out of 5 units, first of all, you invest in these 4 mainly. As you guys can see, my Antandra's tier is not invested, but in fact, you don't even need her at a high tier, right? So you only invest in these 4 units, and as you guys can see, out of these 4 units, these 4 units will be useful in all the other game modes. So it transits very well once you finish the game. You have a chance to compete with other players for higher numbers, for better rankings, for better rewards with the transition of this team itself. So that's why it's my preferred choice if I want to create the meta content pushing team, or at least in the late game once you get the mythic weapon for Odie over here. Okay, so next, another thing that I want to point out for this team setup is that I'll say this team requires a bit more understanding about the game, requires a little bit more manualing compared to the Cecia team in a sense, because Cecia's AoE is very big, right? So you can just run it on auto. As long as the ultimate comes out, you are mostly winning the match. But for this team's case, because a lot of the clearing capability comes in terms of single target damage from Odie. So whoever you choose to use the ultimate on will decide the outcome of the battle, and sometimes prioritizing the right target will win you the battle easier than other times. So that's one thing that I think it might not be so free-to-play friendly. Like, you sort of have to have a little bit of understanding about the game to know who you want to use your Odie's ultimate first, which you need to target first so you achieve the best result. Because sometimes if you target the front line and then the back line do way too much damage, your team is going to get bursted, right? If you target the back line and the front line deals too much damage, then the story is reversed. So there's a few things that I think this team is a lot harder. Number one, its manualing with this team is a lot stronger. Number two, the positioning with this team is more flexible if you know your stuff. So everything will be built on the knowledge that you know the game a little bit, or you know the game better. Then this comp will be a lot easier to use, a lot easier to bring out the effect. So over here, I'm going to showcase this one. So if it's easy, for example, like this one, you can just run it at auto and then see what Odie can do, right? I'm just going to run it at auto, and then I'm going to showcase the manual. So this is what the team setup looks like. I think it's pretty much similar to the Cecia setup. So now instead of Odie doing what Odie does, you're using Cecia to summon the golem, and then from there you win the match. Okay, so that's for the general usage. I think in general most teams are currently built like this, at least for PvE content pushing. So next one, we're going to go into the next challenge. So most of the time, right, if I can auto and finish the game, I won't be manualing, because this team can do what it needs to do, right, which is win the match on auto. So if you can do that, right, if you don't need to manual, you don't need to use you don't need to have any target priority, then do that, right? That's one thing that is good about this team in terms of flexibility. However, in certain situations like this where there's a high chance that you might lose, as you guys can see over here, then you want to do some sort of target priority. So based on this, right, what you have to do is you have to look at the results and take a look at, okay, what's the priority, right? The archers are dealing a lot of damage. Should I attack the archers first, or should I bring down the front line first? So that's number one basic understanding when you use this team. Sometimes bringing down the back line first will give you better results, but sometimes bringing down the front line first, or combining the damage with your frontliner unit, bring down the front line faster is better. So it depends on the situation, depends on the understanding of the units. So right here, because I lost this, I'm going to do it on manual, and then I'm going to do some positional changes so I can get better results. So we're going to do this, and I'm going to bring Entendra in. Okay, so I'm going to go manual one time, so it's easier to showcase like how target priority actually works. So everything is on auto, right? Everything is running on auto. Then Torrent falls. Unfortunately, Entendra doesn't use the ultimate in time, right? Unfortunately. Just a little more and we could get it. But okay, we get the Starshot spell active. So Coco uses the ultimate. We should be able to buy enough time for my frontliner. So the first one pop, we're going to use it on this one because this unit is going to pass away. So as you guys can see, we're going to pop this unit. We're going to pop this unit because this unit is also really low. And because we're getting the third proc on the Starshot spell, and because my units are getting the ultimate. So, I was a little bit slow on my fingers. I'm going to do it again. Pretty confident that we can clear it. So I think in this case, right, you actually have to try a few times. But generally, in this case, I'll say target the archers first. Because I think the archers are dealing the massive amount of damage. Okay, and I think you really need to have, I'll say, like a slightly better understanding of the game to know the target priority and then know who to target. Because sometimes, right, some I'll say like challenges, I'll say like you look at it and be like, oh yeah, I can't clear it because it's way too tough, right? But then again, if you do change your positioning, if you just change out the order you use your skill, then you win the match from there. So yeah, pretty much, yeah, done with the archers, right? So that's it, I win the match. Right, so you guys can see just now when it was on auto, I couldn't do it. But if I do it on manual with correct target priority, I can clear it very easily with 4 units surviving. Okay, so the rest is all double stages, which I do have a very strong second team, so I'm not gonna explain. But basically for this team, right, in terms of clearing contents, I'll say it's quite solid. It provides a very easy transition from the early to the late game. The weakness will be this team starts out a little slow, and if your gacha luck with Odie is terrible, then your progression will be slowed down quite a bit compared to using Cecia core, which is easier to obtain and very powerful at the start of the game. So yeah, that's pretty much it, right? This is just one team that I have. If you are Cecia-less, if you do decide to be Cecia-less and you want to push your contents like myself, this is the team that I use. There's actually many other ways you can build your teams, and I'll feature those teams moving forward with another account in the future, so stay tuned for that. If you guys like this sort of non-meta or non-commonly used ideas kind of content, do remember to like and subscribe to see more, and thank you very much for watching. Do remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.